Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, Mr. Landfill. Good to see you as always. Today we're going to be doing something, well, not that different, but we're going to be working on hopefully quite a nice little Hildy. It doesn't look like much, it's quite worn when I picked it up. It's got a cap on both sides, so we'll have a look at trying to just remove the cap on, probably one side. I have not decided which side yet, and then we'll have a look at seeing what's inside. But yeah, I'm hopeful this one should be decent. I've got a box of different ammonites that all kind of look like this, and it's just trying to figure out which ones to prep on stream. So yeah, just deciding. But yeah, it's nice to be back. I've not had a lot of time to do streaming. I was hoping to do more streaming yesterday, but all of my code for organizing the tour bookings kind of went awry because the website I was using for information changed all of their formatting and exploded my code, so I had to rebuild everything, which was not my preferred way of spending the day. But I've done a little bit of prep, but did not have the mental capacity to try and stream it at the same time. So yeah. But yeah, without further ado, I will start looking at this properly and see if we can start prepping up. But I'm going to have to transition you back to the music as I do, so we all don't get deafened by the air extractor, the dust extractor, just me. Yeah. It's one of the reasons I love Hyundais. When you're prepping them, they tend to pop pretty cleanly when you find a decent one at least. Sometimes you get the matrix a bit adhered to it, but yeah, this looks like it's going to behave itself and be quite a nice little one. My suspicion, based on the box that it's from, being from Ravenscar, it's possibly one of the rarities. I want to say semi-Politum, I might be wrong with the name, but it's one of the Ravenscar ones rather than a Lusitanicum. And the way that those book, ooh, sorry, I'm going to try and not be incompetent at my filming, which is never a given. There we go, there's a zoom. So they look at what's called the lateral groove. It's basically this little groove that runs around here. So Lusitanicum doesn't really have much of one like this. Bifrons has a fairly deep lateral groove. And then the semi-Politum's a bit like the Lusitanicum ones, so they don't really have much of a lateral groove. The more distinct way of telling them apart is when you get to the middle, and the middle, the whorls of the semi-Politum basically disappear under the outer whorl. So as we get down, we'll be able to better see what it looks like. So yeah, it's being very kind to me so far in prepping. I'm not having to do an awful lot, just slowly removing the matrix, and as we go, it's popping off fairly cleanly. I'm hopeful that will be the same all the way down, because I'm using a fairly chunky chisel tip at the minute just to roughly take stuff off. I wasn't expecting it to be quite so clean, but we'll just have to be a little careful with it, because yeah, I don't want to damage it if it's going to behave. I might see if I can leave you zoomed in, but I'm going to have to just try and remember where exactly things are as we do it. But yeah, we'll see what we do. If I take it out of shot when I'm doing things, I apologize, but I will try and keep it in shot. just to show you, I've stopped not because I've dinged it, but just because that central cap popped so cleanly off. It's just yeah, really nice when it does that. And so yeah, just popped clean out. It's going fairly well. The thing to note with a lot of the ammonites as you go is a lot of them tend to shed the shell, so you get the sort of the internal structure is filled with calcite or pyrite, as the case may be, and most of the shell tends to pop up, especially if you're not being supremely delicate with it, like I'm just using a big chisel tip and just popping the matrix. So some of this is the original shell here, and then we've got original shell, and then where it's popped away we can see sort of this internal mold. And so that's what we've got going on. Yeah, it's a nice specimen. I do love Hildies and when they prep nicely. But yeah, it looks like a semi-polytum, just with the fact that you can hopefully see a little easier in this one. This lateral groove that basically runs around here. And then outside of it, you get sort of the ribs, which would be here. You can see them more clearly on the outer bit up here. But in the semis, the ribs basically disappear underneath the next whorl. And so these middle ones, the lateral groove is touching. So that's one of the hallmarks of the Ravenscar semis, Hildies from Ravenscar and the semi-polytums. Yeah, lovely. We'll just keep going. I didn't plan on doing the other side, but this one's popped so cleanly. I might do the other side, but the other option is we go do something else, and I can show off some of the bits that I've been working on in the interim as well. But yeah, we'll keep cracking on with it. what I was going to do. So it's quite a nice one. A little broken here, so we've got a crack now, figure out why. So this whole section up here is depressed relative to this. So there's a matrix that I sort of this break here is a bit tedious as well because the matrix is so pretty close. I might just try and do a tiny bit of matrix. This is what I'm having in it. Tiny bits of matrix in the ground, just about be able to see it. One day I'd be good at this. Sorry, let's start back all the way to the beginning. Thanks for Mr. Landfill for pointing out that I still got the music on. I'm glad there is someone watching. It does help when I am otherwise doing this. Sorry, yeah, so the long and the short of it, it's got a break that runs through here, which means that this section is depressed relative to this bit of the whirl, and there's another break that runs through here, so it was just a bit tedious, just tidying off the matrix, but that seems to have all come away for the most part. There's a little bit of matrix still on the shell here and here that I'm going to struggle to get away without dinging the shell too much. It's just I don't have an abrader where it'd be really useful. There's a little bit of matrix here, which I will work on. And then there is a little bit in the middle, which we'll just see if it will come away at all with a bit of magnification and a little point on the tip. And so just bear with as I go through it. Apologies for my incompetence with the streaming. We will continue to get better each time we do this, but thank you very much. I've remembered to turn the music off this time. Yeah, I think the middle's just going to be a bit too tricky with trying to stream because I need it just off screen down here, which is where my magnification is. So you'll have to just accept that that is about as good as it'll get. Pretty sure, yeah, it's a semi-Paletum or Hildoceras semi-Paletum. Yeah, the ribbing, as you can see, basically disappears by the time you get to the innermost whorls, and so the lateral groove, which is running all the way around, gets closer and closer and closer to the edges as you get in. Kind of a nice distinct way to see them. I could remove that side, but I don't see the need to. So that will probably stay as is until I figure out if there's any point in me trying to see how much of this little bits of matrix I can remove here. So it's just a little bit that I tried to get off with the chisel tip, which isn't going to come away. A little bit here I might just tidy off again. So yeah, it's been a nice one. I do love Hildies when they pop like this. That's why I've been doing Hildies and pseudos to get back into it. They tend to come away a lot nicer. The DAC from the first one is still sat in here waiting for me to finish it. But yeah, it's been really nice just to get one that's behaving itself. Would love to get an abrader and just be able to finish them properly, especially down to the mid. But that will have to wait until I start selling a few on the website. It's a good time to just remind people, if people are interested in any of the stuff that I'm working on, the website is live. There are fossils on it. Some I've prepped, some that Sean has prepped, and his prep quality is obviously superb, one of the best, if not the best, on the coast for ammonites. Highly recommend him. But yeah, some of his prep work is on the website as well, and yeah, as I start selling them, I can keep upgrading my equipment and get this better and better as well. Yeah, plan is just to quickly tidy this little corner here. I just noticed up this bit of matrix, and then I will have a quick rummage in the piles of things and see which fossil will be the next one. I plan to do this for another hour or so, and then yeah, we'll see how we go. You now get your music back. I yeah, will remember to put it back on. Yeah, that'll do for now. Yeah, there's plenty of more things that people could say they could do. You could tidy up the mouth border and all the rest. It's not the original mouth border though. It's broken, and in fact on this side it looks like it's slightly offset relative to those sides. So yeah, it's just going to be left as is. We'll put some varnish on it. You might just see that my hands are a bit warm and a bit damp as well. So yeah, that's where we'll leave that one for now. Give me 1 second just to rummage the boxes and see what we want to do. Mr. Landfill, whilst you're here, do you have any preference for ammonite types? Please don't say something complicated, because that will make life very tricky. But if you have a preference for a DAC, another Hildy, a Paranoceras, a Gramoceras, you can do some of those. No preference. Okay, that makes it easier. We'll do a really quick. Dealer's choice. Dealer's lazy though, so we don't want to do that. We'll do a really quick Hildy, and let's see what else there is. That might be a bit more interesting. Too many choices. That is part of my problem. I am very spoilt for even just a box that I'm rummaging through, which is my Ravenscar, most recent Ravenscar box. I've got some that go back a couple of years. Yeah, why don't we make it a Hildy day? Let's go around. So we'll quickly whip the edge off of this one, because I think that's about all it needs to do. Whip the edge off here, get this down to nice, and then we'll have a look at a bigger one. That's another big Hildy. When I say big, another medium-sized Hildy. A little interesting to see what's going on. So the keel runs nicely to start with. That's where I'd expect it to be, but then this bit looks to be broken or offset, and then it comes back around onto this side as it dives in. So I'd say this section here is all broken, or at least offset relative to the main ammonite. So we'll have a look at both of those. Probably put the chisel tip on the 3mm back on, and sorry, just having a look at which side I think I will play with. We'll do this side, just because this has got a bit more protection on the back of this. So as we're going down, this is then supported by the matrix. So that's part of the reason we don't fully expose things. Partly also laziness, but yeah. So yeah, let me put the chisel tip back on this. So when I do this, just to show off, it's just showing that I'm just changing the tip. So this is the 1.5mm point. So it's a little tiny spiky thing. It probably needs a bit of a sharpen, because I've been doing all my fine detail work with it. So it'll be going very slowly dull, even though it's all tungsten carbide and supremely hard. I was working with a 2mm and 3mm chisel tip. I have a 2mm point as well. So this is the 3mm chisel. You will also see me going intermittently quiet and putting the chisel down whilst I'm prepping, but not then talking to you. That's usually me playing with the air pressure. And so my air pressure gauge is up above the camera, and I cannot reach it from where I'm sat. So as I'm prepping, I'm changing the air pressure just to help do a bit more control. So the lower pressure tends to give me more control and finer movement, because high pressure, this is moving in and out at a much higher rate and a much larger volume, whereas the lower pressures, it's not going as much. So that's what we're doing. Yeah, we'll just whip this corner off. Shouldn't need too much. This will be pretty quick, I would imagine, and then we'll have a look at the bigger one, and then we'll just have a trio of Hildys for the prep for the day. That's the goal. Hopefully that is okay for everyone, because, well, tough luck. show what I'm aiming for whilst I'm working away here. Do remember, I am not an expert at this, but I will tell you my logic for what I'm doing. I've got ammonite here. You might just about be able to see the edge, and so Hildi's have that lovely structure of the keel. So they've got a pair of grooves either side of the midline, and then sort of, depending on them, the level of squareness of each side. So it's yeah, that's what they look like. And so my goal is with this is to get this, basically the midline of the keel, to be exposed all the way around. And so to get all the way around, I'd like to get this all nice and flat. That's what I am working towards. Take all this matrix down to a flat level, or as close to Alright, so yeah, it's almost down to the level. Before I will apologize because I have no idea exactly how much you can see. I'm looking at a teeny tiny view in my computer, and I appreciate some of you will be looking at an even smaller version out on phones, and some will be watching it a much bigger on a computer screen or TV screen. But yeah, the little groove on the top is just coming out here, so you might just see it being visible. So there's a little bit of original shell on here. Some of it's got matrix attached to it as it's going. Some's popping off, some's staying. It's just a bit uncertain, but that's pretty much the level we need to be down at all the way around. Some decisions about how far, if I want to cut this back or whatever, or just leave it as is, because it's kind of nice as it just wears out. Although on that logic, I probably should have just left it out here and had a better thought. That's something I need to get better at, is figuring out how I want my final thing to look. It might get a nice line cut there or something like that, but it's part of what the really, really good preparators are doing, is they're constantly thinking about what the finished product's going to look like. It's just going to be pretty much all grinding, so I might just put that to the side for the minute, just in the box, and then we'll have a look at this one. And then we can always pick that little one up just to finish it off later, depending on how this shapes up. And then, yeah. for the noise in the background, the whirring. That's actually the compressor picking up some extra air. I was running a bit light in the middle of the prep. We can turn it off just for the minute. There we go. Makes a great sound. Yeah, so it's prepping reasonably well. I'll have to probably switch to the smaller tip for the middle section soon. But yeah, what is there has got a lovely pyrite preservation that you might just see starting to come through. There is some interesting trying to figure out where this whirl is going to go. I'm hopeful it should all be just underneath, but because of the breaks, there may be all sorts of matrix in odd places, but we will see. But so far, it's looking decent. And then the question of the middle, but we will get there when we get there. Alright, so we found the edge of the break at least, so the whirl should be there and continuing upwards. Instead it's flattened down, so yeah, it's dropped a couple mil minimally, and so we've got this normal piece of whirl here, and the dropped outer edge, which we knew was offset because of just the outside. So then it's just trying to find where it all joins back together, and then trying to start tidying this up. But it's yeah, a bit slow going when you've got to try and avoid all the little bits that are not where they're supposed to be. So I'll drop into a 2mm chisel now and see what more we can keep finding. Looking for the wrench that sat right next to me, you know, the usual joys. And I will be working on making sure I've got a slightly different setup, because I had to close my shed door with a, a picnic blanket over it to stop the light coming in. But it is getting very warm now that it's such a lovely day here, and we've been a bit spoilt with our weather so far this spring in England. It is, whilst still cool in the mornings, the daytimes have been very sunny in general, at least up here in Yorkshire. So yeah, I've been very happy with it, but too hot for my own liking. Mr. Landfill, whether we call it a shed or a studio, it is getting warm in here. It is not so bad if I can open the doors. The air temperature is not particularly warm, but the sun, the compressor, the air extraction, yeah, all gets a bit toasty. But yeah, I would say it's, yeah, calling it a shed seems to be unfair to it. It is definitely more than that, but a rock store seems unfair to it as well. And a studio is far too generous to the setup I have. But yeah, it's going all right. A bit messy. This is outer whirl sat on top here. There's a lot of matrix overlying the outermost part of the outer whirl still. It's quite nice, and it's quite nice in some respects because this whirl, I appreciate they're broken and offset and everything, but this whirl is sitting right on top of this lateral line which is running here of the inner whirls, so it's quite nice just to see. But yeah, I think this one has rotated in, I think, but it's tough to say for sure. Maybe not. But yeah, with this one being so broken and offset, it's a little tough to say exactly where we're at. I'd say this looks fine from about here. This might be fine, but this might also be rotated. But this bit here is broken for sure. Yeah, we'll keep working. The pyrite, I say, is quite nice on the inside. We'll see what we can do with it. We'll see how much of this shell here is intact, because this is all broken as we get down to it. I also appreciate it's probably a bit tricky for you guys to see, but hopefully the lighting is a little better than it has been in previous sessions. I've put the light that was sitting at the back of my box actually up onto the back of the glass again, so not the best way to do it, but it is at least providing some better light for prepping. But yeah, let's keep going with it and then see where we're at in another 10-15 minutes. And if anyone else is there, I probably should be able to monitor this, but I am not doing a great job of that. Welcome, and I hope you're enjoying. Let us know if you've got any questions or comments about it, other than you're taking a long time, which I am. I'm quite happy going at my pace. Let us know. I've also just realized how poor the connection is today compared to what we had the other day. I'd love to know what the hell the difference is, but yeah, the computer's in the same place, the Wi-Fi has not changed, and yeah, we've apparently dropped something like 60% of the frame, so I do apologize. I've only just noticed, which is pretty poor. And then we get little pulses of it running perfectly smoothly for whatever reason like now. So I do apologize, I've just noticed. But yeah, I'm curious to see what YouTube does with the fact that the stream quality is missing a lot of frames. But yeah, no, my apologies again. Alright, well, I've just had one quick thought about how I might have made my signal worse by just having my door closed. So yeah, I wonder if that is, as ridiculous as it sounds, the thing that's been causing the problems, just closing the door. Yeah, getting some new blinds in the shed that will cut out the light that you keep, or you might occasionally see that pops up at about here every once in a while when I have not got something blocking it. It's just sun coming in from outside off the glass. But yeah, we'll get that hopefully sorted before the next stream, which I'm hoping will be tomorrow actually. So we'll keep doing this and keep trying to improve. But yeah, since I've just opened the door, quality's gone up. Go figure. Ah, dear. Hey Cheryl. Yeah, so all of them today are all Ravenscar Hildies that I've been working on. Not all perfect. This one needs some finishing. This one's pretty good. Needs a wash and a varnish. This one is the hardest going of them all by far. The first one basically fell apart, which Mr. Landfill will attest to. This one is pyritic and also broken, so it's running with a break along this edge here, which means that this whirl is dropped down relative to the rest of it. So lots of matrix that's interwoven with it, and you might see if I tip it up and around, this is all very pyritic coming through, and in fact you might even see where the lines of where I've been prepping are, that are all very shiny. So the matrix on this one's definitely not as nice as the last one, but yeah, it's still going all right. The joys of Hilde's is in general, they prep reasonably well. They've got much finer ribs, as you can see here. They've got, I mean, big chunky ribs, but they're really smooth compared to something like a DAC, which has got those fine ribs, which make prepping it much, much harder. So this one is going fairly well. So yeah, we started it just shy of, or just after 1 p.m. British time, and it's what, 2:45 p.m. So get 3 Hilde's done, or 2-ish Hilde's done, 2 and a bit Hilde's done in that time. Not too bad. Although that first one we did in about 30 minutes, so this one has been the slow one. But yeah, I will keep working on it and see if we can get this middle out, and then see where we're at. And if we are going to tidy anything else up, or just call it time for today. But as I said, we'll be back tomorrow is the goal. If it turns out the reason that my quality has been a bit glitchy, Mr. Landfill will be the one who can confirm if it's got a lot smoother. But yeah, we'll get a blind for the shed so I can leave the door open, and hopefully hopefully cut down the amount of frames that we've lost. At one point I'd lost 60%, I'm down to 54, so clearly opening the door is the solution to all of the internet problems I'm having. Glad to hear it's a lot smoother. Go figure that a wooden door with a glass, single pane glass is apparently basically like a big concrete building in terms of being able to keep the Wi-Fi out, but yeah, apparently just enough. So hey ho, but we'll work with it, and yeah, tomorrow I'll remember to keep the door open. shed is the exact opposite end of the property from where they've got the wire coming into the house. We're on a lovely fiber optic thing, but the downside of that is it comes in as a fixed point, and it's the exact opposite corner, even on the diagonal from where I am in the shed. So I'm actually on 2 Wi-Fi boosters to get it all the way out here, and even then it's sufficiently rubbish. But yeah, I mean, the computer says I'm getting 2 megabytes a second out here, or 2.7 megabytes a second, which should be sufficient for streaming, but obviously it's just enough that get the door closed and it's dropping more frames than I would like. It might be a problem come winter time if I'm trying to stream in winter. But yeah, the only other realistic way is to see if I can get one of those boxes that runs the data through the electric cables, because obviously I've got electric out here, but I think that signal level is just as bad, if not worse. The only other option, and is something that if this becomes a big enough thing, if I've got more than like 3 viewers at any given time, if I get up to like 100 viewers, I'd very likely get a 5G like wireless phone data set up in here, and then just use that instead, because being in the middle of York here, you get 5G all the way around the city, so we'd actually have probably faster internet off the mobile network than we would off of 2 different wireless boxes. But yeah, that is the unfortunate state of affairs. I've had a look. I probably should have run a long-range LAN cable, but even then you'd lose a lot of data by the time it gets to the shed, because we're talking, I would say, 100 meters, but only because it's got to go up, down, through a house, all the way out the other side. But alas, apologies also, you're going to see this little bottom right corner is light coming in. My screen is all falling apart now that I've had to open the door. These are the trade-offs. Yeah, we'll keep working. Yeah, in response to Cheryl's question about is it sticky or not, yeah, this matrix has got surprisingly sticky. The joys of Hildes is that they've got multiple shell layers usually, so if you accidentally ding one or whatever, there's usually another layer beneath it. But sometimes you have a fun game of trying to decide, are you going to try and keep the shell, or do you just give up with the shell and go and get the matrix off easier? And so it's just being a bit tricky. And so there's all of this is surprisingly well adhered to the shell. But once you get underneath the shell to sort of this pyrite inner bits, it comes away fairly quickly. So it's just being a bit of a tedious prep because I'm trying to keep the shell on, but the matrix doesn't want it to stay on. So we've got some big bits with no shell, like there's a bit down here which is all pyrite and a bit up here all pyrite. Yeah, we'll keep going. I'm hopeful the middle should be in here, but yeah, it's just slow going. I also apologize for this second light. This is my magnification light, so when I'm just down here, this is because I'm actually just looking at it through the magnifier. Let's see if, there you go, that might give you a better idea of what's going on. So yeah, I've just got it going on in here. It is sticky, it's hard going. I take it all back. This one was not great. So very frustrated. Right, let's just adjust where we're aiming and then get that light out of the way. Yeah, I might just have to put that one down. So no pretending here. This here was all super sticky, and I have done it no favors. I was hoping that some of the shell layers that I talked about earlier would come to my rescue, but they did not, and then got all the way down to the mid, and there is no middle preserved. So yeah, frustrating all around. So yeah, that might just have to get left as is. One of those for the box. So a bit of a shame. But pleased with the first one we did today at least. Needs a rinse and a polish up. But yeah, so it was the day for Hildy's, and then this one that I think I need to just have a decision about what to do with mouth border. I say mouth border is long gone, but with at least artsifying this, and I think I might just still take this bit back down here to make it so it looks roughly artistic, to just end on a bit of an angle. And then all the matrix is smoothed down, and just to continue chasing that little groove on the top of the keel. That's the goal. But yeah, I think we might just have to call it there, because I don't feel like I am prepping my best after 2 hours of sitting here trying to do it. But a healthy sort of day. The good, well, the average, and the ugly. That's where we're going to leave that. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. We'll try and get, as I said, lines sorted, so there's a little bit of light that you've got down here that I'm just kind of covering in the bottom right of your screen. It goes away because yeah, it's just a bit frustrating. And then hopefully leaving the door open seems to have done the trick for at least keeping the connection stable, which is good. But yeah, silly that that is the case. Yeah, we will get all those bits sorted. Thanks, Mr. Landfill, for being here. Cheryl, thanks for coming along as well. Everyone else who may or may not be here that I cannot see, thank you for watching. And we will catch you all very soon.